say when there are no words? Feel a song that's never been heard. How do you know when you hear the call? What do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea. Ball, cannonball. What do you do when the mountain is there? How do you answer the challenging day? And when your back's against the wall, what do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, cannonball, cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the AOR Hype Energy F1 2017 Season 14. 14, that was a while ago. Season 15, Round 13, here at Suzuka in Japan. My name is King-Kodiak, and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box, I'm always happy to say, is the Lord of the Airways, my faithful companion, Mr. Hamish Sopwith.
Yes, thank you, Kodiak. What a racetrack this is. Suzuka is 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles of track and automotion perfection. Brendan Lee is currently the first driver out on the grid, setting what looks like a fairly solid sector. He's missing a lot of the apexes though, but I think it will be a solid banker lap. You can see the speed he's able to take into the two Degners. Is it the Degners?
Yes.
Yeah, Degner 1 and 2.
Has it been a while for you, Hamish?
Well, as I was getting confused with 130R, which of course comes at the end of the lap, but he's currently coming up to turn 13 and 14, this long sweeping left-hander, which you can take at quite a lot of speed, but you never quite feel that you're going fast enough. This is a great possibility of overtaking. If you have a DRS wide open, not DRS, sorry, if you have a slipstream behind another driver, you can have a really good opportunity coming into 130R, coming into the final chicane where Senna and Prost crashed all those years ago in 88, I believe. Just about to finish this lap. A guide is a 1 minute 26.9, that's set by Topa last year. And it's a 27 flat, so that is a pretty solid lap time.
What a benchmark to set down. Right, also something else to note. Brendan Lee is our champion. He has been crowned because Formula Danny is not here. In order for Formula Danny to have retained his championship hopes, he had to have won all 3 races, and Brendan to not have scored more than 4 over those 3 remaining rounds. Because Formula Danny is not here, he cannot do that. Therefore, Brendan Lee is going to be crowned champion at the end of the season, irrespective of who finishes where. So, bravo, Brendan Lee. It's been great fun commentating throughout your championship season. So let's see who we have got. We only have 11 drivers again. Sadly, that is the problem of having the season in the middle of the holidays. Also, a lot of people travelling here, there and everywhere. So this is what we have got. But as last week rather proved, we still had an absolutely stonking race, even with 11 cars on the grid. Marcel Kiefer in second position took his maiden win last week in the Force India. He is a 127.128. He is how far? He's 62,000. We already have 3 drivers within a tenth of Brendan's first lap, and that is Alvaro Carreton, or Carre as he's otherwise known, in the Ferrari. He will be coming in at the end of that particular. Oops, someone's had trouble at the end of sector 2. There is Tino Nokarinen. 3 tenths down at the moment, just letting through the McLaren of Jan Fehler, who is our server host this evening. And there is Steve. So the yellow flag still popping up at the end of sector 2. Of course, we don't know who that is, I'm afraid. There is Jan Fehler, just half a second down from the pole spot at the moment. Then it is Marek in the Renault. That is 6 tenths down, along with Veloci Photon in the Soul Sauber this evening. Non-runner, I think it's fair to say, has not set a representative time, but he is now heading down towards Spoon, I think that is. Let's just follow. Oops, it was Spoon, but that's a little bit too wide, and that's probably going to bring that one to an end. I'm not sure how much fuel he got on board. He could go again, so I would imagine he's probably just going to settle down and go again. Aresti, however, does not have the fuel to go again. Well, his pit light's on, his fuel light's not, so he is coming in anyway. He currently is at the back of the field, 13 seconds off the pace. I think it's fair to say that he will be out again, but 3 drivers on their first lap within a tenth of Brendan Lee. Very nice.
Yeah, that is very close indeed. Max, I thought if he was setting a decent lap, he is just over a second off the pace, which is still seriously quick in its own right. And then you have this gap of Tino Nukarinen and Steve. I mean, look how close they are. How close are they? They are
a hundredth between them. They're a hundredth between each other and 3 tenths down from the top.
And then, of course, you have Marek and Photon, who are again just a hundredth between them as well. So very close indeed. I'm sure, as always, we will see a close qualifying. Everyone seems to be in the pit, apart from Max, who is clearly on a cooldown.
Yes.
So, what can we say? Well, will we have rain? It's always possible.
It is always
doesn't
possible.
look like it in qualifying. In the race, that might spice up the action. So hopefully it will, with 11 drivers. Not that these drivers don't fail to impress anyway. We always get great racing in the top split of the PC for Apex Online Racing.
That we do, that we do. And as we can just see, Max in the Renault returning to base. There he comes. So he will be the last car to do so. And we have to see if anybody else is going to come out. I mean, you would assume that non-runner and Aresti at very least would come out again.
It looks like a Mercedes of potentially Brendan Lee. Let's see if it is a yellowish helmet, what resembles Lewis Hamilton. I
think it's Tim.
It is not.
It's Tim.
His team.
Yes, car 24. That is Tino Nokarinen is coming out again. He's got some time to find if he wants that top spot. He's done it before. He's challenged his teammate throughout this season, and he's looking to do so again around the twists and turns of Suzuka. It is a driver's favourite, and it is an incredibly difficult circuit. Non-runner has come out as well. 3.5 minutes to go of the qualifying session. Round 13 of 15, 3 rounds remain of this season. We'll be saying farewell to F1 2017 in preparation, as is tradition, essentially, for the next game to come along and take its place. Of course, it will have to go through an evaluatory process to ensure that it is fit for league use, which has always been the case, to be fair. So we look forward to embracing F1 2018 when it is launched, when it hits our shelves, when it hits our directory, when it hits our Steam directories, and we will be getting involved with that as soon as we can. As we are seeing Tino just coming around Spoon. As we're seeing a few more cars now come out. Marcel Kiefer, Alvaro Carrington. I'm just going to say Carey because I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. Marek has come out. Non-Renault Resi. And Photon also coming back on track. Let's follow Tino then through the laps. He's just coming through 130R, so he's giving a little bit of a wiggle.
Oh, there's massive gaggle of cars coming out of the pits at the moment, go there.
I imagine there is. He's going to have to be careful as Tino is just coming through the Casio Triangle now. He's now getting on the gas, so hopefully he won't be held up by the aforementioned gaggle of cars. Now streaming down towards the line to start what will be his last qualifying lap. Less than 2 minutes to go. Streaming on down to the first turn. Throw it in for the apex and heavy on the brakes. Down 3 gears as he just hugs the apex on turn 2. Brendan Lee's also come out. I think that's going to be everybody. Yep, everyone is now out on track. Through the S's. Turns 3 through to 7. Now that's the right-hander of 6. Left-hander of 7. Now through the Dunlop curve. Before he catches the first of the Degners. Long left-hander. There's Degner 1. And then get on the brakes, get the car settled down. Oh, he just missed the apex of Degner 2. He's caught the apex on the exit, but that's absolutely fine. Through turn 10, now the hairpin. He's got one of the Renaults ahead of him. A bit of a lock-up, but nothing too bad. And that's Max, and stays out of the way quite nicely. Now through the long turn 12, he's flat. I thought he backed off a little bit, but not sure he has. Oh, he has. Yep, he has.
Yeah.
He
very unusual shift up to 8th for halfway through.
Yeah,
particularly complex.
Yeah, he's decided to back out. I don't think he was held up by Max. That wasn't his fault. He was just. I think he'd actually lost the time earlier on. We saw him run quite wide on the exit of Degner 2, and he missed that apex as well. So that is a bin lap by Tino.
I wonder what non-runner can do coming up to the Casio Triangle as we speak now, going through it, and on the throttle. Let's see. He will obviously improve, and it's mediocre. It's 27.6, puts him into P7. Not bad.
Does indeed. And that's only a couple of hundreds off of failure as well. So he's got the fuel for another. Oh, Carey! 126.851 in the Ferrari. He's making a statement of intent there. Very nicely done. That was very out of nowhere. That's caught both of us by surprise. Very nicely done. And Marcel Kiefer is less than a tenth behind. So it's now really getting close, and the checkered flag is out. Both of those two have the fuel to do another run. So now is where we start to get excited and start to shout a lot.
Carey has decided to call it a day.
I'm not surprised. There's a great lap from him. Brendan is heading on down to Spoon. What is, let's have a look at what his split is. Now through 13 and 14. On the gas again, let it wander wide. Catches the exit rumble strip. On the way through to the, 130R. Unfortunately, I don't get the split time. Photon up to 4th, then just shy of 3/10 off the top spot. Now Brendan Lee coming into the Casio Triangle. Does he improve? He tends to do this. He tends to leave the pole time to the very last. DRS is open, and yes, he does!
Just about.
Oh, 126.823, less than 300ths quicker than Carey.
But what can Marcel Kiefer do?
He's still on a time lap.
2 tenths off. He's 2 tenths off on this lap. He's giving it all he can. Coming to Casio Triangle, breaking 100 meters, hitting first apex and the second very nicely. Throttle very early on. First is right to the to the wall, and he decided to back out of it last minute. Yeah,
he was so squirrely on the way through that Casio Triangle. So that is wow, that ended very quickly. We were normally waiting,
didn't it?
We're normally waiting for our drivers actually to kind of confirm their retirements, but there we go. No such needing to today, and that is our grid of 11s. So Hamish, take it away.
Brendan Lee, pole once again, back possibly where he belongs. He hasn't had a brilliant couple of races, so good job from them. Carey, so close, just over 3,000ths off, very close, 300ths off, very close indeed. Marcel Kiefer in P3, good job from him. Steve in P4, the other Hungarian Photon in P5, Jan Failer in P6, Resi and Tino Nukarinen, P7 8, Marek in P9, non-runner in P10, and the Brit of VP Max bring up the rear in P11, the most significant places of any race.
Yeah, we don't know if it... Oh, it's raining! Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
So, intermediate start by the looks of it.
But broken clouds again, so might not be wet throughout, so we will see then how our drivers do.
Can see the Renault driver opting, a Renault driver of, that will be Max, or Max in this case, because it's last on the grid, opting for the intermediate tyres, just behind the
Surely everyone's going to offer inters. No one's going to be mad enough to drive dries.
No, I mean, I doubt anyone will be wanting full wets either. It doesn't look like that. You can see the carousel, the Ferris wheel going on in the background.
Collecting a fair amount of rainwater in the in various rides as well. But never mind, down to the grid then. They're all on inters. 5 lights, wind them up and let them go. A decent start then by Brendan Lee. Carey having a pretty decent run as well. That's 4th place. Steve slotting into position. The Sauber blocking off the McLaren there. That was Photon closing down Failer. Merrick and non-runners from position, and Brendan Lee's under a lot of pressure already by Carey trying to do a move as they come into the S's for the first time. Wowee, I don't think Brendan's going to have it all his own way today. Unfortunately, my frame rate is dying slightly, so apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing I can do about it right now. But everyone has come through. No major incidents so far, but anything is possible in these conditions.
Absolutely, they're all following each other's gearbox at the moment, and Carey is getting ever closer to Brendan Lee. It looks like he has a little bit more confidence in that Ferrari. Who knows? Maybe that is where that fraction of the second was lost. Maybe a little bit more downforce.
Oh, we've got impact. We got him. Oh, we have a desync. Oh, beg your pardon. I thought there was a big impact there between.
Yes, I know. I did notice that to be fair, earlier in the race. Hopefully, that will kind of sort itself out for next game. But hopefully, it'll sort itself out at the. During the course of this race, Max still at the back of the grid in the Renault, and you seem to have Aresi going very wide. So does that mean that one of the drivers is going to overtake him? No, he's staying in P9.
Wow, Failer was also getting very leery as well, coming through the spoon curve. Then that's Aresi on the inside, a non-runner coming through 130. Oh, massive impact with the Ferrari. It clouted the McLaren, who's in turn caught the Renault.
Red contact as well.
Oh no!
Take each other out.
That's so Marek has fallen to the back. Max is still going. Oh, huge, big. Well, that was quite a big.
Carey's going to try and move on Brendan Lee around the outside of turn 1. Late braking. Is he going to get the switch back? He's so close to the gearbox of a Mercedes. If he gets the traction, he might have more of a chance. No, he doesn't. But that was very close by the Ferrari driver.
Wowee, that was some. Quite amazing attempts there going on. There's some, that was a little bit optimistic, I think. I apologise for the FPS problems. I think my PC is just dying in this heat. Unfortunately, there was nothing I can do about it. Oh, Steve getting under the rear wing of Marcel Kiefer on through the Dunlop curve now, coming out to Degner's. He's going to have to settle down. Also, again, so close to impact. Doesn't quite push the Force India, but he's desperately trying. Looks like he's got the traction, but he got very squirrely on the exit of the second Degner. Is he going to think about it on the inside of the hairpin? No, he doesn't, but Marcel Kiefer is staying right with Carey, even though he's got Steve all over his gearbox, and also not far off the back of the house is the Sauber of Photon. So, again, but look at the distance between Carey and Marcel Kiefer, second and third. That's already over a second as the Ferrari is staying nailed to the back of the Mercedes.
Yeah, I really do think Carey has the speed. We've seen glimpses of how fast he can be. I mean, he didn't have a brilliant race last time. Well, no, he got DNS last time. But last time out in Austria, he had a good race. He finished P2. But can he improve that today? He's one of the drivers who hasn't had a win this season. There's only been 3 or 4 drivers who have had wins. 3, I think. Oh, that is very close. Almost spinning Brendan Lee. He would not be amused by that. Although Brendan is the champion, so I suppose he can... his mindset is possibly changed a little bit. Here's Carey having a look on the outside, just as he did the lap before. I don't think he'll be able to pull anything off, although he is going to get a nicer line off turn 2. And you can see the traction he's getting, but he can't do anything with it because the S section starts a little bit too fast.
Yeah, that top two has been caught up by that chain of three that was behind them.
God, look how close Marcel Kiefer's, sorry Kodiak, look how close Marcel Kiefer's got as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that the chain of three, Marcel, Kiefer, Steve and Photon, have caught the back of the lead pair of Brendan Lee and Avara Carrington. Oops, as Photon runs a little bit wide on Degner 1. As non-runner has come into the pits then, so a few people are struggling in these conditions, but the cloud cover is breaking. So, oops, that's way too deep. Wow, Tina Nokarina sprung out of nowhere and suddenly flown through into fifth position as Photon's just gone a little bit too deep into the hairpin. So, wow, that was... yeah, that's very much a surprise there from the second Mercedes. He's bringing himself right in contention for potentially a battle for the lead. And Brendan Lee's giving himself a tiny bit of breathing space from Carey, but it seems very nip and tuck, exactly as we expect. The Mercedes is stronger in some areas, the Ferrari is stronger in others. Now coming through 130, and the tail of the Ferrari getting very, very fidgety, but manages to keep it on the road. Wow, Brendan stuck to a very, very defensive line coming through the Casio triangle, and that was you saw how much he was not confident that he could just take his normal line, but Antino has got his name on the fastest lap board as well.
Yeah, good job from the other Mercedes driver. I'd say anyone down to Failer has a chance of winning this race today, and it looks like Brendan is just very tentative. He looks nervous. He just doesn't seem to have the confidence he had in qualifying. The two flying laps we saw him set there. But at the moment, Carey is right on his gearbox, and so is Marcel Kiefer. So hopefully, well, we know Marcel Kiefer, he is now a race winner. That's going to do his confidence a world of good for hopefully this race and coming races in the future. But Carey hasn't won a race, and he's been very close, but no cigar as of yet.
Let's have a look at fuel then, and quite a few people are negative fuel, and Brendan tends to do this. He tends to run negative fuel very early on and catch that up later. Brendan and Carey about, well, not even half a lap to the negative. Actually, Marcel is 1.5 laps to the good on fuel, so he's had a wow, Steve is 4 laps to the good on fuel, so either that is incorrect or he's run, whoops, that's too wide at Spoon. Either that or he's running lean to save up the fuel for later. Tino is to nearly a lap to the good as well. Photon on the back of that particular pack is nearly 2 laps indeed to the good of fuel. So it could bite the front two. Obviously they are negative fuel just about, so they are going to have to back that off as the race continues. But it's not too fast. Not a lot they have to do at the moment.
No, I mean, it's a bit of an odd strategy there by Steve, because usually in the wet you want to have as little fuel as possible. In the dry, it works out much better having a little bit of extra fuel, because it means you can go on to Rich. But Rich in the wet has not an overly positive impact, because obviously it means you have there's more torque going to the back tyres, meaning they spin up more. And it's not a case of wear, it's just you can't put the torque down in the wet. And these three are still so close to each other, although Marcel Kiefer almost losing as we come up towards Stopplet Curve.
Yeah, Steve's fallen off the back of Marcel to about 1.5 seconds, so now the Force India doesn't have to think about what is behind him. He just has to concentrate on keeping up with the top two and trying to figure a way past. Now, also something that occurs to me is exactly as you just said, there's no point trying to utilise fuel, have a lot of torque going down to the road in the wet mixture. In the wet wet conditions. But if drivers, I mean, Steve, for instance, we've just seen is seemingly stockpiling fuel. That's going to really pay off when they come to dry conditions. Again, looking at the cloud cover, it is quite broken up. We've seen this before where the dry line starts to form a bit later on. Obviously, there's no sign of that at the moment. But if Steve is quite a lot of laps to the good and still in a competitive position, he could be really quite sweet to just stick it in Rich and leave it there.
Absolutely, that is probably his game plan. These drivers have only had to contest with one wet race so far, and that was all the way back round 5, if you remember that, King-Kodiak, in Catalonia. So
long time ago.
Experience of the wet weather. I can't remember how Steve did there. I could tell you in just a minute. Steve came P8, so that was a mediocre race for him. But he's doing well so far.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Sorry, just trying to change something there to try and improve the FPS of the stream. But unfortunately, in order for me to do that, I would have to stop the stream, and there's no chance I'm doing that right now with these three so close together. So again, I do apologise for that. There really is nothing I can do about it without stopping the stream, and you know as well as I do that if I do that, someone is going to fly off into the dust. So I would rather stick with the stream that we have, and I will sort out the FPS problems for next week. I'm sure it's just my PC boiling itself. So, Brendan Lee then is just starting to get into his stride a bit. He's got the fastest lap as we saw. That's now 1 second as Carey really struggled to get the traction out of that second deck. Now under a lot of pressure by Marcel Kiefer. Steve is looming in the background with Tino. Is not too far behind either. Photon has fallen off the back of the Mercedes. He's 1.5 seconds down from Tino. Jan Fehler is only a couple of seconds behind Photon as well, so don't discount him. And then Aresi, Marek, Max and Non-Runner, all having their own respective issues, are a fair way back behind them. So now Carey, the balance of power has completely changed. He's now got to concentrate on that Force India behind him. He can't just solely look out the Mercedes ahead. He takes 130R quite well. Now coming into the Cassia Triangle, and that, of course, that Force India really, and DRS. Now, I was not expecting DRS to be enabled so soon. All the top three,
both in.
A top four. Steve has followed suit. So
are they on to dry tyres? That looks like a set of softs potentially, although it did look like Inters for a second.
So that's Marcel's being held quite badly, but then there's a lot of cars as I think Failures come in as well. And yep, that's one of the Haas. Oh, Brendan's been jumped in the pit stalls by Carey. Oh, now this is going to be interesting. So they're now coming out on soft tyres on a still damp track. Anyone that's seen today's race will know what that is like from a driver's perspective. Not going to give any spoilers away on that one. So now this is all going to be down to how well these guys can tiptoe around the very, very slippery track with these slick tyres. Carey has managed to get track position on Brendan Lee, Tino and Photon actually both continuing with their intermediate tyres. So that could well play to their favour. Max has brought his car in as well. I just realised I haven't got the tyre selection on. Few people going for mediums as opposed to the softs. Fair enough. Everyone trying something different. So Carey and Brendan Lee go for the softs along with Max. So that's Steve, Marcel Kiefer, Jan Fehler, Aresi and Marek all going for the mediums. Non-Runner's gone for the softs as well. So the only two on their wet weather tyres are our lead two then, Tino Nukarinen and Photon. Where is Tino? He is on the old start-finish straight, heading down towards... So he should still have a decent amount of grip on the wet tyres. Yep, he doesn't seem to struggle coming through 130R any. Photon a couple of seconds behind him. Surely he's going to come into the pits this time. Just following through. I can't imagine he's going to go on again. And indeed he doesn't. He comes in. And Photon is going to follow suit. Absolutely. Right, back to Brendan Lee then. Let us see then how that extra lap for Tino and for Photon is going to pay out. Well, they're already coming through the Cassia Triangle. They're going to have to really get on with it if they want to come out ahead of the lead two. Surely they can't. Well, there's the lead two. You saw them at the top of the shot. And that is the view from Tino. Is he going to get third? Is he going to come out in third as a result of this? Here comes Steve. No, that's Steve that's gone past. And there's Marcel. So it hasn't really done anything for Tino in honesty.
To be fair, Kodiak, he couldn't have pitted because of the time he would have lost behind his teammate.
True.
Which is why he stayed out. In fact, I think he lost a position because he was up 3 positions. He's now up 2 positions from his starting place. So he needs to catch up with Jan Fehler. He's going to have slightly fresher tyres than those around him, but that is about where the good news stops.
Yeah. So Carey leads the way post pit stops. I cannot recall that actually happening at any point in the season. So that has played very nicely for Carey, but he's gone deep at the hairpin. He's got all the pressure from Brendan Lee as a non-runner gets his name at the penalty board. Now flying down towards Spoon. Carey did get a really good drive to give himself nearly half a second's gap between himself and Brendan. So if that's indicative of anything, as Steve now gets his name on the penalty board, that's going to be costly.
He's a P3, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to hand that to Marcel Kiefer pretty much. again, look at the drive that Carey had from Brendan. Now, whether it's just Brendan's taking it a bit easier, I mean, Brendan is staying in lean. Actually, they're both staying in lean. They're both around about a similar amount of fuel down, so they're playing the kind of similar fuel strategy there. They don't seem to be... Oh, Marcel Kiefer, that's rare. We don't often see him on the penalty board, but he's given himself a 3-second penalty. Could well... I mean, unless everybody gives themselves 3-second penalties, that undoes it, of course. So we will see then how that plays out. And wow, you saw how the tail just snapped there on the Ferrari. Interestingly, Carey's pit light is on. Oh, we've lost Aresi! What has happened to Aresi? Oh, yes, he had a major incident. He had 3 wheels coming into the pits, so he's had a major problem coming into the pit. I wonder if he hit the pit wall. We have lost the Ferrari, so everybody is guaranteed a point.
It'll be interesting to see what Carey does here. Now, does he do what he did last time and go a little bit wide? And that is that you don't have to hit. In fact, it's favourable not to hit the apex here, which is why you see none of the drivers hitting the apex at the hairpin. And it does mean that Carey has had an excellent drive. Once again, that's almost 6.5 tenths, Kodiak. So if he can keep doing that on the hairpin and on spoon, and off the final corner, the final corner, then he's going to give himself a really good shot at this race. However, there's still 20 odd laps to go, just under 18. So anything can happen.
I mean, what's the life expectancy of the softs? Again, you know this better than I. Is he really? Are they realistically going to make it that far?
No, I will. They will be coming in again. Possibly lap 15, 16. I think would be the absolute maximum. Obviously, these tyres didn't do qualifying. Had they done qualifying, we'd be looking at about 12 laps.
Oh, I wonder whether Brendan's lost DRS. He didn't have his DRS open there, and that would explain why he's losing pace against Carey.
Yeah, that is a big factor, you're right.
Now, sometimes that graphic is incorrect. Sometimes it appears like it hasn't opened to us, whereas it has actually to the drivers. But that would absolutely explain why Brendan seemingly is struggling to keep up with Carey. Both of them are running a lean mixture of fuel. That's the wrong Mercedes. So it's not a fuel strategy difference. We're not seeing either of these two on the fastest lap board either, I'm noticing. We're actually seeing the Renaults of Marek and Max featuring on the fastest lap board, so fair play to them. And Brendan's nearly out of DRS range anyway, so that could become an academic point. But if he has lost DRS, that would explain why he is struggling. Marcel Kiefer is on the back of Steve, both of these two carrying 3-second penalties, which isn't going to make a great deal of difference, as Timp is over 3 seconds back at the moment, but quite a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't actually see Brendan gaining any time on Carey at all, and he isn't now because he's out of that DRS window, as you just alluded to, Kodiak.
Yep.
So he might just be saving his tyres. If he can get an extra 1 or 2 laps out of these tyres, then that will play dividends towards the end of the race. Tino has slightly fresher tyres, and he's right on the back of Steve. There's a great battle between the Haas and Force India driver. That was Marcel Kiefer, sorry. Both of them have a penalty, so this is for track position. Kiefer with the DRS, he's closing but not quite fast enough, and sometimes a lot of the drivers have to manually close that DRS coming to that first corner. The nature of the profiling of turn 1 and 2, which sort of blend into one another, is that you can actually spin it on exit if you decide to lift off before you brake.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing you do not want to be doing... Oh, Marcel Kiefer a little bit scruffy on the exit of the last S-curve coming into the Dunlop curve. So that's going to cost him a little bit of time, as Tino's still 2.3 behind this battle, so he's not under immediate pressure. But of course, if they allow Tino to close in, they will feel the effects of their penalty. Tino doesn't carry a penalty with him just yet, so Tino now actually 2 seconds behind them, so he's... Unless he's starting to get the real hammer down... But Tino's also running softer rubber than Marcel and Steve, respectively. So that could also be why he's beginning to close in a bit. But we will see. I would imagine that these drivers are not aiming to pit again. They're going to have to play the tyre management game as the race progresses. Brendan is beginning to close back in on Carey as well. I was looking at the cloud cover. Is that starting to get heavy? Starting to get dark again? Surely not.
Yeah, it sort of has its phases, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
we can get localized weather, so who knows?
True.
Maybe we will start. It definitely looks quite dark coming up towards turn 1. That is for sure. And it looks like we have a couple of really good back forming as well. Like you said, Tino is on a softer compound 2, the 2 drivers ahead of him. And he is now, he overtook Jan Thaler at some point as well, so I don't think we saw that particular move, but Thaler is still in P6, which is a good job by the McLaren driver so far. Max, another fastest lap for the Renault team. It's just a shame he's 36 seconds off the lead.
It is a shame, but actually quite a few times we've seen the Renault pair popping up on the fastest lap board, so like I say, fair play to them. Brendan has got back within a second of Carey, but if his DRS isn't opening anyway, that's fairly academic. And Marcel Kiefer is right back on Steve's case. This is a battle for the last podium spot, as Marcel looks like he was taking a slightly wider line through that long turn 12 before coming into Spoon. And Jan Thaler, again, that's not common either to see his name on the penalty board. So obviously some of the drivers still struggling, and it is a very difficult circuit. Let's not downplay that. It's very twisty, and if it's still slippery in some places, it's going to be very, very tricky. Now, this will, and Carey is answering the challenge from Brendan Lee then, 31-0.
I don't think Brendan has DRS code.
I don't reckon he does. I think that's actually correct. His DRS has failed, which can happen, as Marcel Kiefer again closes in on Steve before coming into the first turn, but is not close enough to try and move. Now, I actually did try and... now, it's been no secret that I have never driven the F1 2017 or 2016 games. I bought them specifically for commentating on, but I decided to give it a try, and I was predictably terrible. But the game decided to give me a wet Silverstone and a full wet Monaco as my first races. So it was like, really? Can you make this any more difficult?
That is Silverstone for wet is there's manageable possibilities. Monaco and for wet, you may as well just go home. You don't even set up the wheel for that sort of thing.
I redecorated the barriers quite a lot in that one.
There was a different colour paint on your car than there was at the beginning. Probably the green for the Heineken sponsorship, or whoever sponsors Silverstone at Monaco these days.
Now, Tino is 1.5 behind this battle we are looking at. Marcel Kiefer and Steve. Still, the battle rages on for third position. Tino is closing in on them, but not enough to challenge in the next few laps, but he is definitely going to be there. And Brendan Lee now is answering the challenge of the Ferrari ahead of him. He's closed it right back in. I wonder whether his DRS is either his DRS is starting to work, or Carey had a terrible drive out of the Casio Triangle, because he's now closed right in. 0.3 of a second separates the top two. So Brendan has just destroyed that lead that Carey had built up, but this is a very tricky place to overtake. It's going to take a dive into either the hairpin, a brave move through Spoon perhaps. So it's going to take a really big move for anyone to try and muscle the way past. So Brendan, again, is not going to have an easy time if he wants that top spot.
No, absolutely not. And the thing that separates this track from other tracks is if you go off, you are in the grass, you will spin the car. There's very, very little in the way of tarmac runoff, apart from 130R and Spoon. That is the only tarmac runoff you get around this particular track. So, you know, that does, you know, add an extra element of caution to when you're overtaking. And look how close Brendan is now. He is 0.4 seconds behind, and he is closing in as we approach 130R up to the Casio Triangle underneath the Pirelli.
Whoa, did he?
That is way too deep, and all that time he's gained is now extended probably to 1.5 seconds as they cross the line, and it is just over 1 second. So all that hard work Brendan did has just gone down the bin. Even
the greats make mistakes. There was just one very rare error there, and he just overshot the braking point and did well not to take Carey with him. As you saw, he had to turn left into a right-hander to avoid impact. But if the last couple of laps or anything to go by, he will close that gap back down again. So remember, they are on the softer rubber, so they've got as good a grip as they can get out there at the moment. It's just going to be a question of whether they can hold on. Marek's come into the pits, interestingly.
Yeah, front wing change. He's clearly lost his left end plate.
Super softs on his car. Well, why not? It's what, 13 laps to do. Yeah, give it a try. Why not?
Yeah, I might be able to do that.
Marcel Kiefer, once again, is pressuring Steve. He's been stuck behind the Haas for quite some time. There is Tino. So if Tino can make his tyres last long enough, then he will be right in this battle as well. I'm going to again apologise for the FPS problems on the stream. I'll periodically do that. That is a setting that's gone wrong this side. Right off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but something has gone a little bit cuckoo since last week, but I will ensure that it is sorted out for next week. Again, I can only apologise for that. But as is the norm in the top tier of AOR PC racing, if I drop the stream to sort that out, there's going to be a lot of action going on. Brendan Lee has got his name on the fastest lap board once again. Marcel Kiefer is determined to get past Steve. Of course, the more they fight, the closer Tino gets. Tino's nearly in DRS range. DRS isn't really doing a lot for Marcel. It's bringing him close, but not quite. As he catches to the back of the Haas, he's really looking for, again, as I was saying earlier, he's going to have to dive somewhere, or he's going to rely on a mistake, and that's Photon and Failure side by side, coming through the first turn. No, it's exactly what I was saying. You're relying on a mistake. It looked like Photon was a little bit too deep, and the McLaren then shot through on the inside of the Sauber. Very nicely done. That is Jan up to 6th position. Tino's 1.1 off the back of that podium battle we were looking at, and Brendan is back within 7/10 of Carey, but Carey doing absolutely everything he can to hold on to the lead.
Yeah, I don't think Brendan has with DRS. We did think for one lap he might have, but he does not seem to be closing up fast enough. Also, the positioning of his car, he looks more aggressive coming into turn 1, which suggests that he doesn't have DRS. He is very close, 6/10. Maybe he sometimes pulls back a little bit, just to cool the tyres, so he knows his tyres will last until the end of this race. But we still have this amazing battle with Marcel Kiefer and Steve. Look how close the Force India is coming to the Casio Triangle. Not able to make anything work as of yet.
Not yet, but he's wanted a decent run on the exit of the Casio Triangle yet again. DRS open. Can the Force India do anything about it? He's going to want to look on the inside of turn 1. Steve doesn't he does defend the inside line quite late. And that's Sans! That was Marcel Kiefer having a look at the inside as they were coming through the second apex. But again, Steve just able to defend against the pressure of that Force India. There is Tino. He's just outside of DRS range still, so I wonder if the best of his tyres have gone already. So as he seems to be struggling to close in a bit. Mind you, saying that, he's just knocked 2/10 off of the gap between himself and the Force India, so possibly not. We'll see how well he's able to close that gap down.
Brendan Lee is trying to move for the lead, and he's got that done at the hairpin. It seems that Carey made a bit of a mistake. The Spanish driver's coming right back at the Englishman now. He's going to have the right-hand side for Spoon, and Brendan defends beautifully into Spoon curve. Carey needs to get on the acceleration early and try and close in so he can have a stab with DRS.
Yeah, so that was a dive at the hairpin, exactly as I thought. Brendan was going to have to do it. Of course, I would be looking away.
At the speed of that Ferrari. Good lord!
That was a stunning run then through 130R for the Ferrari of Carey. That was a bit of an uncomfortable moment, I think, for Carey. And again, his DRS is showing is not opening either, so he may have suffered the same DRS failure, or simply his car is set up in such a way that allows him to defend against the Mercedes for as long as he has done. But now he's got to get back on the attack to try and get that lead back again. He's got 10 laps to do it. He's got the time, but we'll see whether he's able to do it.
Yeah, it looks like Carey must be running lower aero. I mean, he's going very wide. I hope he hasn't lost wing in that. But I don't know if it's an incident between the two drivers, but I'm hoping he hasn't lost any aero from Brendan's overtake, but I think he might be running a lower down for Kodiak. Looking at the speed he was able to close up on Brendan Lee without DRS, which would explain why Brendan isn't able to close at the rates he would have wanted to earlier on.
Brendan is
and
certainly...
look at this, Marcel Kiefer and Steve! Good lord, Tino has a fantastic seat for this.
He does indeed, and Marcel having a look on the inside, coming up to Spoon. Oh, he's got the Force India alongside. Steve's had to go wide. He's actually got himself a 3-second penalty for that. So he could argue, he could contest that one in the stewards. He had Marcel alongside him. He had no choice but to run wide there. So that one could well be contested. Here he goes again on the inside of 130. He's going to nose ahead. Can he get it done before the braking zone? Now coming in, Marcel Kiefer's ahead. He's got the first apex and Marcel's ahead, but he's gone a little bit too deep. Steve now coming back at him on the outside of that final turn, and no, Marcel Kiefer has got it. But now DRS open on the house, DRS open on the Mercedes. Here comes Tino. Oh my goodness me! Marcel went to block the Mercedes and let the position go to Steve. Oh goodness me! This one could go on for a while, and actually Carrey's closed back down on Brendan Lee as well. So that battle hasn't resolved itself either.
Look at this as well. Young Failure and Photon, they are gearbox behind gearbox, quite literally at the moment, coming up into the Dunlop curve. There's action absolutely everywhere in this race, and we still have Steve, Marcel Kiefer, and Tino Nukarinen right by each other. What's going to happen coming up into the hairpin? Are we going to see any drivers lock up and go into the back of one another? No, we don't. They're far too experienced, although Marcel Kiefer gets a little bit of oversteer on exit.
He did a little bit, yeah. And no sooner do I say about Carey closing down on Brendan Lee, that gap is now back over a second. So whether Carey's made a mistake, we didn't see. As we're looking at this particular battle at the moment, it's once again, just like we had last week, it's battles absolutely everywhere. We've got Carey still trying to challenge Brendan Lee. We've now got Tino having a look at Marcel again, coming through 130R. He's going to go on the outside for the Casio Triangle, but no, he chooses not to follow that one through. He wants a decent drive on the exit of here, which he doesn't quite get good enough. Now DRS open on the Force India and the Mercedes. That's going to be attacking Steve. And again, that's not going to be close enough to try and move. Coming into the first turn once again. Oh, and Tino nearly pushing the Force India through the curves. And now it looks like the battle at the front has resolved itself. And now it's now 1.5 seconds between the Mercedes and the Ferrari.
I'm just wondering if Carey is slowly running out of tyres. But all that fuel saving, all that extra fuel Steve put in at the beginning of the race is really paying off now. Yeah. He's able to use Rich for a lot more, especially down some of the long straights. There's a kilometre flat out section here, which is turn 14 all the way to the exit of 130R and the Casio Triangle, turn 16. So that extra fuel really does pay off that particular section. You can see how close Marcel Kiefer is. Non-runner is in the pit as well. I'm not sure what he's doing. So keep an eye on this fantastic battle for P3. Remember, Tino Nukarinen is the only driver who hasn't got a penalty. And I'm fairly sure Steve will get that other 3-second penalty removed.
Well, he could well do, unless he incurs any other warnings. We won't see that, of course, stream side. So if he incurs another track extension or corner cutting warning, then that will be well, that would negate any kind of appeal on that incident we saw with him and Marcel Kiefer. And again, Tino did not get a good run through the Casio Triangle. The lead gap now 2.5 seconds. Carey's really fallen away from the back of Brendan. So whether Carey's got a problem, or exactly as you say, he's burned the best out of those tyres. We know how well Brendan can manage the tyres and keep his pace up. So it was not impossible by any stretch. Tino still right with these two for the final podium spot. And I would imagine Carey is going to limp that car home. But the gap now to watch, if he's having to manage his tyres, is going to be 3rd to 2nd. Steve to Carey, currently 5 seconds. But if Carey's losing that much time, it could well be that this train catches him.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just had a look at the exterior cameras on that Ferrari, and it doesn't look like there's any issues. It looks like Brendan is just a little bit quicker. And while all this is happening, Steve is slowly closing in. He needs to be closing in by about 8 tenths a lap to make a difference. So I'd be very, very surprised if that happens. Carey seems to be pretty consistent, even though he seems a little bit off the pace at the moment. Tino has fallen back a little bit by an extra couple of attempts to Marcel Kiefer. Is he able to close in anymore? He will probably still get the DRS, but he's just fallen back a little bit further. And it looks like Photon and Failer have sorted out their differences, as Photon is now very much ahead of Jan Failer.
Yep, there goes the Sauber and there's the McLaren. That's about 2.5 seconds between those. Tino is still hanging on to the battle ahead of him, but again, I wonder whether the Mercedes is now starting to have tyre trouble, as he does seem to have fallen a bit. He may well just be choosing to back off, of course, exactly as you were saying before. But that gap up front is now 3.2 for Brendan, unless of course Brendan's actually on the medium tyres and not on the softs, as the game is telling us, but we won't know until we hopefully get a chance to talk to him post-race. But Steve is doing everything he possibly can to keep Marcel behind him, and he's had that pressure for so very long. He's doing a great job out there.
Yes, I can confirm Brendan is on the medium compound tyres. And his teammate, Lukarinen, is on the soft compound tyres. So I can confirm Brendan Lee is on medium compound tyres, not what the game would lead you to believe.
I see. So once again, Brendan playing a blinder then as far as the strategy.
Steve, he's catching up quickly, Kodiak. He is in the 8/10 of the second delta he needs to make a difference to Carey. Now, I can't remember if Carey has a penalty or not. I'm just going to very quickly find that out for you. No, he has a couple of warnings, though. Yeah,
so he's close. He could well earn himself a penalty. But at the moment, he's doing okay. And yeah, let's just see what the gap is. And there is Carey, actually. You just saw him at the top of the shot. Just about see him in the distance. 4 seconds is the gap, Steve to Carey. And they've got, what, 5 laps to go. So it is still doable. It is still definitely doable. And if he is struggling, and look how Tino's fallen back. So if they are struggling with these soft tyres, the medium runners, which of course Steve, Marcel and Brendan all are, along with Photon and Failer as well, then they don't have to kind of manage the tyres any longer. They can just push and push and push. And that is really going to give Carey a big old headache, because it does look like this train is going to catch them.
Yeah, it does indeed. I would, and the longer this race goes on, the more his tyres are going to burn out. I mean, he's losing a couple of attempts simply of exit of the hairpin, so that's how severe it is for Carey. At the moment, he's had some really good results this season. He got that P2 a couple of rounds ago, and he's just got himself a penalty from going wide, and I don't think that'll be contested. So Carey, Steve and Marcel Kiefer are all on a level playing field, but this means that Tino Lukarinen is in the best possible place. He's already up 3 positions. He's already in a net 3rd place. Is he going to be able to get a net 2nd if he can close in with Carey?
He'll have to close in at least 3 or so seconds, but if Carey of course falls off the pace, then that could well be doable. They haven't closed in a great deal. They've only closed in a couple of tenths from the last lap, so Carey may well be kind of picking up the pace again, realising he's got that penalty. Of course, Tino, at the moment at least, is going to elevate 1 position at the moment. He's not going to...
I think he would get 3rd if it was to finish with 2nd, Kodiak.
Yes, beg your pardon. Beg your pardon. Oh, goodness me! Stephen Marcel! Oh, Steve's off! Steve's off! Oh, no, they were side by side coming through the S's. Oh, no, that is not a place you commonly want to overtake. Big chunk of wing missing for the Haas. Oh, no, Steve, that looks like Photon's going to catch him. Oh, no, it is undone. What a shame. It's been such a great race for Steve. There goes Photon just diving on the inside of the second Degner. Surely Jan Failer's going to do the same. Oh, no, what a disaster for Steve. I suspect there's going to be words said about that one post-race.
Yeah, that was... that looked quite aggressive, I must admit. I wasn't on board, so I can't comment too much at the moment. But yeah, that is a great shame for a driver. I know what it's like when you're... whether it's your fault or not, when you're out of a race, or pretty much out of a race, it is absolutely gutting. He's had 2 runs of fourth places, so some really good results from Steve. Looks like he won't be improving on that. The main battle at the moment is Tino Nukarinen. I know he's got third as it stands, but it's always nice to see a overtake made on track.
Yeah,
Jan Fela and Photon are pretty close.
They are. They are still 1.5. Oh no, just half a second actually separates the McLaren and the Sauber as Steve brings his car in. So that is going to drop him down a little bit further. Well, it's probably going to drop him behind Max. I don't think it's going to drop him behind Marek. But interestingly, if Tino is struggling for tyres, he's going to have to be very, very careful he doesn't drop. Wow! Just saw a massive snap of oversteer there from Marcel Kiefer coming through Dunlop Curve. That's a bit of radic crossing F1 style. But Tino's got to be careful because whilst Marcel has that 3-second penalty, if Tino loses too much pace, that could well be for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. He really needs to keep on it, so to speak. He's doing a good job at the moment, and in a weird sort of way, it seems that these soft compound tyres have sort of came back to the drivers. If you notice that Carey and Nukarinen, they both lost a lot of time at the same point, but now they seem to be on race pace again, which is quite bizarre. I'm not sure what happened there. If it was something to do with how the tyres react with the degradation or not, I don't know. But Carey seems to have just been about 3.5 seconds behind Brendan Lee, and that has been the case for quite a number of laps.
I would imagine Brendan's probably just backed off as he's just started the penultimate lap of the race, so he doesn't need to push. He's got 3.5 seconds to the good. I'd imagine he's got the fuel. Well, he's got nearly 4 laps of the fuel. He's can leave that in lean and not worry about it again. Actually, Carey's got 4.2 seconds of 4.2 laps of fuel apparently. So that could, of course,
wrong.
I would imagine that is incorrect, because Marcel has got 0.2 laps, or 0.1 lap rather, of fuel to the goods. So he is running it a bit close, but of course, as you always do, Tino's 1.7. He can't afford to lose too much more time, otherwise he won't inherit that third position. But again, he has to be careful. If those tyres are wearing down, if he pushes too hard, he'll be getting the penalty as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very much a balancing act. At the moment, he is in a good position. He shouldn't lose more than half a second each lap. And he seems to be able to follow Marcel Kiefer at a pretty decent pace at the moment. Jan Phelan Photon.
Oh, Steve! Close. Sorry to cut you off there, Hamish. I just noticed that Steve, on the super soft tyres, was trying to go side by side with Max through the S's. Pretty much exactly what he was doing with Marcel not too long ago that sent him off into the wall. And and he's hit him! Oh no, and he's lost his wing! Oh no, Steve! I thought he'd lost a big chunk of... Oh, he has! He has lost.
Still went for it.
He's still going to go for an outside manoeuvre around the hairpin, but he's actually lost the elements on the right-hand side of the wing, so it's how much that actually does for him. I would imagine he's pretty frustrated with what happened earlier on, but we are on the final lap then here at Suzuka. Brendan Lee has led pretty much all race... Well, he has led all race long. Through the S's he comes. Carey is... he hasn't led all race long, sorry. He has led... He's run away since gaining the lead. I was meant to say one thing, my brain just re-jumbled the words. Because Carey, our former race leader, was doing what he could to fend off the esports champion, but to no good. That's now 4.4 seconds between the two. Marcel 3 seconds further down the road, but Tino is 2.6. As oh dear, Max gets a 5-second stop-go penalty. That's
so close for Tino. That's not a comfortable place. He will know that Kiefer has a penalty. His engineer would have told him. So, and obviously Tino knows that he hasn't got a penalty. So yeah, he really needs to be on it. And you can see, look at the understeer he's getting from Spoon. He's just not able to get the car turned in. He's lost almost 3 tenths in that particular corner. It's 2.99 at the moment as we speak. Brendan Lee coming across the line to win in Suzuka.
He does indeed. Here's the Ferrari of Carey. There's the Ferrari of Carey. The penalty gets added. It's academic. There's Marcel Kiefer. Does he do it? No! By a tenth. Tino was denied by 102. Oh, so close Filato Photon fends off Jan Fehler. They both were carrying penalties as well. Here is Steve. What could have been for the Haas. Oh, what a great shame. Max and Marek have been through the pits many times. They've been through
after Steve.
Yeah, so Max and Marek have been through the pits 3 times each. Non-Run's been through 4 times. So it's gone horribly wrong for those guys. Here comes Steve then to cross the line is 7th. VP Matt, the Renaults are coming almost line astern. They've been racing each other all race long, I would imagine. So here they come then. A race to
9. Good points anyway. Sorry, Kodiak.
Yeah. It's points nonetheless. But here they come. Max leading the Renault duo home. Nearly bleeding the fuel tank dry. There is non-runner. The final car to cross the line. He will come home a point for the Red Bull team. And he went to throw his car into the wall, but out of the line came a bit quicker than he was expecting. So the Red Bull survives another day.
What a race, though. These drivers do know how to impress. We have action all the way through the grid.
That we did. I apologise once again for the FPS issues that the stream has had. I'll ensure that is fixed for next time. Once again, Brendan Lee occupying the top spot of the podium. He has done it for half the races this season, over half the races this season. And he does it once again, but Carey taking the second spot with Marcel Kiefer chasing home the pair of them. And let us see then who is going to make themselves available to talk to, shall we? There's the confirmed race results. We've already run through them, but let us see who we are going to find.
No Danny today, so if race interviews won't take half an hour long. We do love talking to Danny. Unfortunately, he has, I think he's flying over to the UK, so who knows, maybe we will see him around sometime in the near future. Looks like no
one has made themselves available, unfortunately. Brendan's not.
He is. Brendan is in.
Oh, is
Brendan
he? Oh, yeah, there he is.
An interview with us. He's got a new picture.
Let's grab him over there. And there he is. I know sometimes he struggles with Discord. Brendan can hear us.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Fabulous. Yet again, another top spot for your ever-increasing record. But, wow, it looked like you had to... Were you biding your time, or did you really have to work for that one?
I think it was a bit of both. Obviously, I came out on a different strategy to the Ferrari, and I knew his tyres would fall off to the end, like they did. So I was just pressuring him at the start of the stint and getting my tyres where they needed to be and destroying his tyres, so I had a much bigger advantage.
Very nicely done. So you managed to squeeze this in with your other duties, which is always impressive to see. So how much practice time did you put into this one?
Well, I did quite a bit of time trial on Thursday night to upload that hot lap I did, but in terms of online practice for AOR, literally only today. My weekend's been so busy, and it's been such a hard weekend to practice for. But on a different note, I personally would like to dedicate this win to my trainer Simon. Him and his wife had a kid over the week, a baby boy. So I'd like to dedicate this win to them, and hopefully happy ever after story.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah, and I would personally like to dedicate this championship that I won today to Esports Plus Cars and the team owner Darren and Simon again, and everybody involved in Esports Plus Cars.
Great stuff. A worthy champion crowned this day. We have got a couple of other people with us that hadn't previously spotted. We have Tino Nokarinen in the box with us. Wow, goodness me, it looked like you were struggling towards the end there, sir.
Yeah, indeed. I finished at 84% hours.
Oh my goodness me. So you had rubber bands at the end.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, yeah. I'm not happy about this result at all. Like, I didn't know about Marcel's penalty, but yeah, I just didn't have any pace on the end to stay inside 3 seconds. Even though I tried my best, but yeah, no can do.
So qualifying didn't go your way either. You started sort of fairly down towards the tail end. Was it just a mistake, or was it? What happened during quali?
Well, I mean, I did kind of decent banker 0.3, and then on my second run, I actually was improving, doing like 26.9, which would put my being like P4, P3, something like that. But yeah, I just went wide in the spoon and got me invalid lap, and yeah, still P8, and yeah, I'm just not happy about, like, I lost my race just because of on the changeover point. Obviously Brendan is gonna beat as well, but yeah, I just lost my race because I had to go one more lap, and yeah. But it's all about racing. It's just racing, so no can do.
A shame, but exactly as you say, that is the nature of the beast. Also with us is, yet again on the podium, it's Marcel Kiefer, who you had a lot of work to do in that particular race. So,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
So how did that race go from your side? It looked like you were working very hard to maintain your position there.
It was just gambling, because in the pit stop it all started. I had the pit stop bug, so I got hold in the pits without any reason. So I lost the position to Steve. And after that, it was just... from the beginning, I had the whole race, the Formula E engine sound. And I never had that before. I saw that already on social media sites, but in overall, I never experienced that. And it's so tricky to shift at the right time without the actual sound, because you hear the other cars around you, but you don't hear your own engine, and that's quite tricky to manage. But in overall, it's quite okay. P3 at the end. I'm not happy with it, because without the pit stop issues, I might have come home P2. I don't think with the penalty I could have beaten Brandon. So cheers for the commentating guys, and congrats to Brandon for the championship and for the win today. It's quite insane what he put up this season. So yeah, I think he just showed that hard work pays off. I'm looking forward to the next race. Not too happy with that one, but I will take P3.
Can I talk about as well?
Fire away.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats Brendan about title. You totally deserve that, and I'm happy for our constructors championship, and yeah, thanks for everything.
Much. Yeah, we won the constructors last week apparently, so that's another thing that me and Tim have been working really hard on during the season, is batting together and really working hard to get that constructors as well as drivers. So it's a team effort, and I'm just grateful for the effort we both put up.
Great stuff. Well done to the Mercedes pairing. And of course to Brendan, as already mentioned, for taking the championship home. That is going to tie it up for this evening. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. It is always a great pleasure to have you along. Thank you very much to Hamish for tolerating me in the commentary box. Always a pleasure to commentate with you, good sir.
My pleasure to commentate alongside you, King-Kodiak, and of course the incredible racing we have seen today, as we have for all of the season. So it is makes our job very, very easy indeed.
It is a great honour and a pleasure to commentate for the best of the PC side for AOR. They have never failed to deliver. It's amazing to see. We've got 2 rounds to go, and I have no doubt they will be just as amazing as the rest of the season. Well done to all of our drivers. It is a great pleasure as always, and thank you very much. We will see you back here for more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.